Happy days, everyone. Summer's almost over. That means the Dev Diaries are back on the menu, and the first of those will be Norway's alt history path. And we're gonna run right into the good stuff here with Mr. Trotsky himself. Some of you may or may not know that in 36, Trotsky was in fact living in Norway, and the part of the communist tree for Norway will reflect that. And look at that magnificent man's traits. Yes. Oh yes, he can do so many funky things. Yes. So eventually, Norway will get an event where you can have 4 different outcomes. You can ship him off to Mexico immediately, you can have him linger and then leave, as it was historically, or you could send him straight back to Papa Stalin. Even better, put him right into the government. I don't know how they're gonna make that work with the Mexican focus tree and the Soviet focus tree and all the different Trotskys in the world, and I do hope they find a way to keep Stalin from killing this man, especially if you're trying to play as that man. But I like the meme. I'm not really sure about the feasibility of all this. Anyway, now let's take a look at the communist branch, the alt history communism branch for Norway, and it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. I like how it's, well, some of it is pretty basic. You know, you have the basic split between Stalinists and other communists. In this case, the NKP on the left side, ironically, are the Stalinists, the hardcore Stalinists. They will send Trotsky right back to Stalin. They will toe the party line. They will essentially be a puppet in Norway. They can join the war in Finland, but on the flip side, they will have access to many of Papa Stalin's goodies. On the other side, when you prosecute the Communist Party, the hardcore Stalinists, you can build up a Communist Party around Trotsky, giving you different bonuses, different outcomes where you defend Finland. You can still build up your military, and instead of having that large economic boost that comes from sucking at the teat of Papa Stalin's USSR, you instead are awarded with relatively cheap war goals, a relatively quick build-up, even a possibility to make your own faction. So I like that they give you options. I will have to just wait and see what all these focuses do to really judge the value of them. As you can tell, yeah, the NKP is fully in Stalin's pocket. It will make him very happy to see them elected in Norway. Well, elected, air quotes. While, well, prosecuting that NKP, Stalin no like. Stalin no like. Now, regardless of what flavor of communism you prefer, you will have to fight for it. So we're gonna go back to on-map decisions. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of these. We've seen them used a lot. Essentially, every state will be contested. You will have a certain time limit and a certain amount of support you can build, and you will have to choose between concentrating your support in a certain area or trying to spread it out but having a looser control. The way they're doing this is by having these arouse the proletariat decisions with 3 levels. As you can tell, at level 1, you will receive heavy damage on its factories and infrastructure. Not great, but it will join the communist side. Then we go to a level 2. It will join your side. It will get 2 irregular divisions and provide receive moderate damage, so Alright, and then the highest level, there will be light damage to militia units and they will join your side. So it's gonna be a matter of, do you want a good coverage or do you want like a hardcore to work with? I think I'll go with the hardcore. And if you're really feeling treasonous, yes, you can stab the Finns in the back as a new Stalinist Norway and go to war with the Finns to liberate, air quotes, Finland. It's not something I intend to do, and I already cursed the people who are going to do this, but it will give you bonuses. It will make you, it will be worth their while. And I do like the focus they have here. Instead of just hanging the king or decapitating or going Soviet Union on him, you just send him back to Denmark. Like, we don't want him. You guys, take him. I don't want him. I like the icon as well. But if you instead side with Trotsky and choose the correct flavor of communism, you can have the Permanentist Revolution. You read that right. They are going with this, the Permanentist Revolution. So you can create your own faction, the Norintern, as a Norwegian Comintern. I hope these names aren't final. But then again, I hope they are, because that's hilarious. And it gives you war goals on your neighbors and the rest of the Nordics. And it will also invite the other communist powers in the world other than the ones already in the Comintern. Also gives you a very nice bonus. That national spirit, the Permanent Revolution, is pretty juicy. Then we have other options. Of course, if you go with the not quite communist, not quite fascist, but not entirely democratic paths, there is a different flavor of armed democracy here for you, where you issue a vote of non-confidence on the government. Essentially, this is a cabal of industrialists and backdoor politicians who aren't really into overthrowing the country as much as they see the writing on the wall. They know the democratic process isn't going to get things done in time, so they just take matters into their own hands. They will round up the communists, they will hang the fascists, and they will prepare this nation for war and drag it screaming into the modern era. If it wants to or not, that doesn't matter. So it's democracy-ish, but with teeth. Focusing heavily on getting your military ready, getting your military factories, but on the flip side, you will have to forgo a lot of the industrial, and I do mean the civilian industrial bonuses that you would get as a regular democratic Norway. It's more my kind of gameplay, but it could end up biting you in the ass if you lack too much of a civilian economy to support that war economy. Still, it's nice that they included the option at least. And looking at the tree, it does look like it overlaps a bit with the Trotskyite part, just not all of the parts that revolve around communism. It will allow you to join the Allies. It will allow you to get some war goals here and go for that proactive defense. Yeah, I think it could make for a very fun run. Aggressive democracy, if you will. And then we have the, the least desirable outcome for Norway. What if Quisling was competent? Like, it is very far-fetched, I know. But they, of course, had to give Norway a fascist branch. And it all revolves around the man Quisling. And much like the historical path, it is all about Mr. Quisling. You might be able to get rid of him, you might not be able to get rid of him. But other than the historical path, in this timeline, he's competent. He gets people convinced with his message. He has good ties with other fascist nations, and he actually succeeds, more or less. So it's gonna give you bonuses. It's gonna make you choose between being a German or other fascist puppet, or if you want to go your own path. And of course, a weird and wacky route to reviving the Norgesveldet and going to Vinland. Yes, claims everywhere, because why not? Fascists just want to make their name on the map bigger. Can't really blame them. And again, of course, on map decisions, you're gonna have to build your popularity, you're gonna have to get control of states, and at the culmination of it will be a coup. What is funny about that path is when you move to execute your coup, you've laid the groundwork. Part of that groundwork is asking another fascist country to invade Norway. So you fire your coup, and at the same time, hopefully, one of the people you've asked to please come invade us also invades, making your job a little bit easier. It's just, this man's a failure in everything he does, and even when he succeeds, he needs somebody else to come do his job for him. He is that revile, that hate it, that nobody likes Quisling. I'm saying it. Nobody likes Quisling. But I do like the concept here that they're introducing. I like seeing the player, or just anybody, given more options. It's cool. I just don't like the man. I don't like what he did, or he just fucked up everything he did. But I like that they're putting this in. This is pretty cool. Like, technically very impressive. So when the coup fires, you only control your, I think Oslo, I think the state that Oslo's in. But depending on how much you prepared your flavor of fascism on all the different states, you can then use on-map decisions again to take over the states where you prepared the resistance or prepared for the revolution. And it gives you something to do outside of your major war, the war to end all wars. It's just not a system I personally enjoy a lot, but that doesn't mean it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not something I think I'll like, but I'll have to test it. I have to get my hands on this. It might prove to be fun. They've learned a lot since the Spanish Civil War, and things have never been as awful. So I am vaguely, slightly hopeful that it'll make this interesting. And of course, no tree would be complete without a monarchism path. And Norway's monarchy path is the best one out of all of them. Like, not so much because of what the focuses do, but because of how it's structured. The king doesn't even want to be king. They had to cajole him into taking the job in the first place. When he then did take the job, he made it explicitly clear he was just gonna be a figurehead, no shenanigans, I don't want any power, I'm just here as a symbol, alright? And now suddenly, his Lord Chamberlain has concocted a plan that Hakon has to become the royal dictator, but don't worry about it, the royal chamberlain will be the regent, he'll run the country in the king's name. So this is a monarchy path, air quotes, but it's really a regency path, because the king doesn't want to be part of any of this, but he's just along for the ride, and he doesn't get a say in this. It looks fairly nice, and it is like split in half. So the top part, all fairly standard. We'll see what all these focuses do in a later stage, but you can appoint Prince Olaf to the army staff or the navy staff, as he historically joined both at different points of the war. But this will allow you to choose if you want to play a naval focused campaign or a basic normal military campaign, giving you different bonuses depending on what your choice is. I think that's pretty cool. Of course, you will also get some royal claims, such as on Denmark and Sweden and the Faroe Islands and Iceland and all of those good things that you will then consolidate in the kingdom that you as regent will rule for Hakon. He doesn't really have to worry about it. Just sit there, big man. I got this. A shrewd regent indeed. And again, much of the same will be done here. You have your on-map decisions, you prepare for your coup, as it were, and have your little civil war. It's a different flavor of the same thing. I remain unconvinced, but I'm willing to see where this goes. And some of these negatives are pretty fierce, like losing base war support, base stability, and quite a lot of it as well. Norway's gonna be... Anyway, that was the Norwegian alt history tree. Of course, they will reveal more as we get closer to release. I'm looking forward to the other alt history trees. And let me know down in the comments what you are personally looking towards the most, or what you are afraid of the most. I am personally gonna love the way these different countries interact with each other and the different options I'm gonna get. I am a little scared of the on-map decisions, but we'll see. We'll see if it's any good. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something. I'll leave a link to the dev diary down below. Go check it out yourself. It is pretty interesting. See ya.